Well, for more on this story, I'm also joined now via Skype by Mr. Moeng, who is the Reputation Management Advisor for DonValley Reputation Managers. A very good evening to you, Solly. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us on our program this evening. I mean, I'm sure that you will agree with me when I say that this has been quite an intense and very long and complex battle between Patrica de Lille and the Democratic Alliance. But before we actually delve into the effects of this entire battle has had on the party itself and the image of the party, of course, I'd actually like to just start off by getting a reaction with regards to the resignation of de Lille. Was it actually pretty much a surprise at this stage?
Well, you know, some of us have been saying to the DA and de Lille that they need to tone it down. At some point, the DA would need to focus on nothing but preparations for the elections in 2019, and this thing has gone on for too long. So I'm not surprised that they would have gotten to a point where they realized that probably she has something on them and they have something on her. I don't think there's anybody who's a winner here. The DA obviously still has elections to contest in the future, and it was in its interest to get this matter sorted out as soon as possible. I mean, the matter is, look, this is a gentleman's agreement between the party and the DA, because the DA needs to move on to other things. And de Lille, she's known to have been a fierce fighter against corruption. You know, in a previous life, she was quite involved in the fight against what was happening, what took place in the arms deal and all that. But we don't know what happened here. The fact is, the truth is somewhere between de Lille and the DA. I don't think that any one of them is particularly guilty or innocent in the story. But they've realized that there's a lot to be lost by either party. On her part, the reputation that she's trying to build all these years. On the DA's part, they don't want to be seen to be equated with the ANC, which is known for corruption.
Now, you are mentioning that indeed that harm has, of course, been caused to both parties, the DA, that is, and Patrica de Lille as an individual, on her image, you know, as seen by South Africans in the country. But in retrospect, can we actually, at this current moment, kind of assess the effects that this entire battle has had, particularly on the party, especially when it comes to issues of numbers, seeing that the 2019 general elections are just right around the corner?
Yeah, look, the ANC is correct to be asking the questions that it's asking of the DA today. Let's tell us everything, but they're not going to get that. They're not going to get the entire truth from de Lille. They're not going to get the entire truth from the party, because each one of these two sides have something to lose. So the DA has got to move on to its position itself. It has lost, definitely. Reputationally, it's been hurt by this whole thing. Because first of all, it's been seen to be going after black people, black leaders. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's the perception out there. And the DA has to deal with that perception. And the DA is also being seen to be hiding corruption. It's going on about being holier than thou in South African politics in terms of corruption, but it seems like there's something in the story. So the DA is going to have to go out there and clean up that image and convince South Africans that it is not a corrupt party and it doesn't hide corruption. I don't know how it's going to get out of this one. It's going to be really, really tough. And in the meantime, election time is coming up. South Africans are looking for an alternative. Those people who probably would have considered the DA as the alternative are beginning to say, well, all these people are the same. The ANC, the DA, the EFF. Where do we run if we run away from the ANC? Do we go to the DA with all of these things going on? So the DA has got to do a lot of work to sell itself almost from scratch going into the next elections.
And now looking, you know, part of the agreements, or rather, you know, some of the conditions of this so-called agreement that the DA has, of course, reached with Patrica de Lille. But Patrica de Lille has been very vocal, saying that one of the main reasons, you know, for sticking very hard with this kind of battle is the issue of clearing her name. Was this actually enough to her, you know, for her to actually clear her name with this regard, you know, with this whole battle?
Well, she hasn't cleared her name, has she? Look, the Lille, as I said earlier, the ANC, so the DA had something on her. I believe strongly that they had something on her, and she had something on them. And they realized that either they go suicidal on this matter, or they decide to to let matters go, hopefully recover. But the fact is that I don't think that anybody's name has been cleared on this. They've reached a pact today and we don't know what the details are of that pact. They've decided nobody's going to tell us. Now, when the DA says it's moving on for the sake of the people of Cape Town, it's nonsense. They're moving on for the sake of the DA. This thing was hitting the DA's reputation big time. And the people, I see more and more DA supporters saying, wait a minute, what's going on there? Should we stick with this party? So it's really for itself. It's not for the people of Cape Town that is doing this. And the Lille, so none of them, we're not going to know the truth. And I don't think that Patricia de Lille is going to write a story one day, a book one day, and tell what happened, because they will also write a book and tell what happened, and none of them is going to come out a winner.
And, the fact that we can't run away from the fact that Patricia de Lille, in her own right, has proved to be quite a heavyweight within the party. Can we expect some sort of split within the DA itself after this entire move?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be a split in the DA. Look, Patricia de Lille, we have to remember that Patricia de Lille came into the DA after her party, the ID was dead. She has to acknowledge that the DA saved her political life. She was, without the ID, the party that she led, she was going to go into oblivion. Helen Zille saved her, and she managed to extend her life, for a period. I don't think that people who claim that colored people are voting for the DA because of the Lille are telling the truth. I don't think so. I really don't see that. So the DA is not going to split. Along which lines would the DA split? There's no sense of factions dividing within the DA, as we know there are clear factions in the ANC, for instance. I think what the DA is going to struggle to do is to recapture the imagination, the love of people who thought it would be a more credible alternative to the ANC. It's going to struggle to do that, and they have to invest a lot of energy and resources into positioning themselves as a party that will lead South Africa into a better future.
But now, where to from the DA for now? Can they actually bounce back from this entire debacle? Is there perhaps a strategy that they can actually embark on with regards to regaining their popularity within the country?
I think they're going to struggle. Look, they've just recently announced that they are against BEE. I'm not saying they should be or they shouldn't be against BEE. The thing is, everything is going to depend on how they explain the alternative. Instead of BEE, what are they putting on the table? How are they going to sell a different package? And I think there's a debate to be had, honestly, in as far as BE as it has been sold to us, implemented or misimplemented is concerned. The DA, if they have an alternative package to put on the table, they must put it on the table and they explain themselves. But on the issue of race, they still have to explain themselves. There's still the perception that the DA is a Trojan horse for white people who want to, who are using people like Maimani as fronts, as political fronts to push their own agenda. I don't know that. I think the DA has this big shower of racism hanging over his head, like Zuma had that other shower hanging over his head. It's going to have to find more credible ways to reach out, to explain itself. And I think it's a pity because the DA is not, I think they have some really good things to sell, but because the perceptions are that they are racist, because the perceptions are that they are a Trojan horse for racist people who still miss apartheid, who don't really want to see black advancement. It's up to my money to find clever ways to deal with those things. And let's see how they sell themselves going forward.
And lastly, before I let you go, Solly, opposition parties have been very vocal, as this entire battle rolled out in front of all of our eyes, especially on the issue of the effects that this entire battle between the DA and Patricia de Lille has had on issues of service delivery and the effect it has on the Western Cape residents. On your side, what do you think has been the major effect towards the people of the Western Cape in this regard?
Politicians are playing games here. I live in Cape Town, and I don't think that anything that's happening to me as a resident, as taxpayer in Cape Town, it has anything to do with what was going on between Patricia de Lille and de Lille. This is just politics. Obviously, the major issue over the past 2 years has been the water crisis, how it's been managed at home and abroad, and the financial impact of it on the Western Cape, especially in terms of people around the world deciding not to come or to postpone their trips to the Western Cape because they fear there wouldn't be water here. But I don't think that on a daily basis, on my daily life, what was going on between de Lille and and the party has impacted on me. I think that they're just playing politics. They're just using this to blackmail one another, each other.
Well, Solly, thank you so much for your time. We will leave it there for now, but indeed, thank you again for joining us on our program this evening. That was Solly Moeng, the Reputation Management Advisor for DonValley Reputation Managers, unpacking more details on the resignation of Patrica de Lille as the Mayor of Cape Town. This after a long battle with the party, the Democratic Alliance.